Now that Boruto Part 1 is over and the time skip is coming in a few weeks, it's time for us to look at Sarada Uchiha and break down how strong she is. And this is a question that so many people have been asking ever since Sasuke told Sarada in the Boruto anime that she's stronger than Sasuke was at her age. And in today's video, we're going to be laying out the facts to determine just how strong Sarada is at the end of Boruto Part 1 and if this is indeed the case. Finally, if this video hits 3,000 likes within a week of uploading, I'll drop the How Strong is Kawaki video going over how strong Kawaki is in Part 1 of Boruto. So at the age of 12, Sarada by the end of Boruto Part 1 is off to a really good start in terms of her skill and her power as a shinobi and her goal to become strong enough to fight against Otsutsuki. She's not there yet, but she's on the right path. This 12-year-old Sarada is already stronger than quite a few Jonin, including her sensei Konohamaru. Like her teammate Boruto, Sarada has mastered 3 changes in chakra nature: wind released by the Hozuki Castle arc, fire released due to her natural aptitude for it as an Uchiha, and lightning release way back in the Hidden Mist field trip arc. This should not be discounted either because, as we were told back during the Akatsuki suppression arc, in most cases it requires years of change in chakra nature drill training to acquire a change in chakra nature, with Naruto needing shadow clones to cut down on the amount of time, and the training was difficult enough that Kakashi literally tells us 12-year-old Sasuke was struggling to add a lightning style change in chakra nature during their training in the Chunin exams. Further significance behind what Sarada is doing is highlighted by the fact that we're also told in that same Naruto arc that ninja aren't expecting no changes in chakra nature until they're Chunin, and they aren't expecting no multiple changes in chakra nature until they're Jonin. But here we have Sarada mastering 3 changes in chakra nature, which is pretty huge considering this bit of lore. Throughout the entirety of the Academy arc, we saw that Boruto and Sarada, for the most part, they were fairly relative to each other in terms of skill, power, speed, and intelligence, which for comparison, Boruto was already confirmed by Kakashi to be well advanced beyond that of a Genin, and that Boruto's skills were being more comparable to a Chunin. With or without Sharingan, Sarada wasn't too far behind Boruto based off what we saw in the Academy arcs, and when we factor in the events of Naruto Gaiden, the 7th Hokage, and the Scarlet Spring, in the manga, she's already showing signs of grasping chakra control required to use the chakra enhanced punches that Sakura and Tsunade used. Sarada in the manga version of the story takes out a whole army of Shin clones with her chakra enhanced punch. She shatters the ground in the area all around her and has both Sasuke smiling and Sakura stunned by the fact that her daughter just accomplished something that Sakura needed 3 years of training under Tsunade in order to accomplish. But you might say, hey, that's a fluke if you're an anime only viewer, because we're told in the car actuation arc that Sarada still has chakra control issues. By the time that they graduate, we see that Sarada is able to briefly fight against Mirai Saratobi, someone who Shikamaru states in the second Shikamaru story, Shikamaru Shinden, and Kakashi states in the Konoha Shinden Steam Ninja Scrolls story that Mirai is a talent that the Saratobi clan hasn't seen since the days of the 3rd Hokage. Obviously, she's not as strong, but they're talking about her talent and her progress. Sarada briefly holds her own against Mirai, and when she begins working together with Mitsuki and Boruto, they're able to eventually take her down. By the time we get to the versus Momoshiki arc, the Boruto movie novelization literally confirms that both Boruto and Sarada by that point in the story still have the skill and the striking power of Jonin, which we know, given that Sarada has 3 changes in chakra nature at that point, 1 more than a Jonin is required to have. That doesn't make that crazy on the skill point. However, as far as Jonin level striking power, there's not much that suggests that by this point in the story, she and Boruto are too far ahead or behind one another. And we see her yeet one of her competitors in the Chunin exams like it's nothing in that iconic scene where she counts down to 3. Jonin level striking power and skill, that will put her in the ballpark where she's stronger than the exhausted special Jonin from Naruto Part 1, who were strong enough to force the Sound 4 to gang up on them and use their curse mark stage 2 in order to defeat them. However, Sarada's main drawback during this time period was her stamina, and it's one of the things that separates Sarada from Boruto at this time period. Sarada's a lot like Izumi Uchiha, Itachi's dead lover, who ran into the same issue with the Sharingan usage, which in this case required both of them, Izumi and Sarada, to double down on the physical training to boost their stamina as well as their chakra control, something that Sarada concedes in the Chunin exams. The first Chunin exams was the case with her, that her weakness was stamina and it affected her with her Sharingan, and we would also learn in the car actuation arc that stamina and chakra control would be something that would continue to haunt Sarada because she had not addressed the problem. realm as she would begin fighting against stronger enemies like Deepa. Her one-tomo Sharingan at that point, even when using the Eye of Insight, was unable to properly track Deepa's carbon projectiles during the battle in Boruto episode 166, and the strain on her body was using up chakra so fast that it resulted in Sarada burning through her chakra right at the moment that Deepa was about to uppercut her. This was something that Sarada tried to fix by having Sasuke train her in the episodes after this, with Sasuke pushing her when he unleashed volley after volley of shuriken, fired off at speeds that Sarada couldn't hope to keep up with, and even when she did start using the precognition of the Sharingan to see the path of the shuriken and kunai presented to her, her chakra would run out and she fell in the training. This is what led to Sakura stepping in to force Sarada to up her skill in chakra control, and Sarada was able to do this in her sparring match with Sakura, where she used her Sharingan to copy the movements of her mother to match her motions and match her output to copy her chakra control to a degree, which led to Sakura telling Sarada that until she masters her chakra control, she won't be able to properly use her Sharingan, and that she and Sasuke would stop holding back in their training to get her ready for that rematch with Deepa. This is what led to Sarada getting a very decent jump by the time that you get to the second Deepa battle. Sarada during this fight was not only able to keep up with the speed of Deepa's projectiles, even before she got her two-tomo Sharingan. We see that her chakra control has now raised her attack power, while her punches are now slower than before because she hasn't found that right balance of using chakra to amp up the strength of her attacks without sacrificing speed. What we do see is her chakra enhanced punches are significantly stronger thanks to that training with Sakura. In Boruto episode 175, we see her manage to crack Deepa's carbon armor with those punches. For reference, to get an idea of how much stronger Sarada is now via the chakra enhanced punches, in Boruto episode 166, we see Deepa tank Konohamaru's Dragon Flame Bomb Jutsu despite it being a high level fire release. We see Deepa's carbon armor barely affected by Boruto's Rasengan at point blank range despite it being stated that it was the pinnacle in changing chakra's shape, and Deepa wasn't scratched by that attack. Deepa tanks a full powered nature energy enhanced lightning release attack from a pissed off Sage mode Mitsuki, and he isn't scratched in episode 166. So Deepa tanked all those attacks previously. However, Sarada's chakra enhanced punches were able to cause a crack in Deepa's armor in episode 175 and actually break off a small piece of it. For further reference, the only other time we see Deepa's armor get damaged to that degree is when Boruto's using his compression Rasengan, which, as Kakashi tells us earlier on in that arc, when Boruto completes the jutsu and uses it against Shojoji, the jutsu can kill someone, and it would have killed Shojoji had he not used his windshield jutsu, and even then he sustained heavy damage. Outside of those two attacks, Sarada's chakra enhanced punches and Boruto's compression Rasengan, nothing else has ever been shown to damage Deepa's carbon armor. Taking it a step further, we see in the Vessel arc that Sarada, at least in her base, is still somewhat relative to Boruto, briefly holding her own, reacting to the attacks from base Boruto and Mitsuki in a sparring match before winning the match by using ninja trickery and ninja tools. It's also worth noting that while Mitsuki wasn't going full power against her, Boruto literally tells Sarada that he's not holding back, and Sarada is shown reacting to his attacks and countering without the need for a Sharingan, which has precognition via the Eye of Insight, which shows that just as Boruto during this time has climbed up from that bare entry point for Jonin power, Sarada has grown at a similar rate, though you can argue that Boruto is stronger since he has the speed advantage over at this point in the timeline. However, in terms of taijutsu and taijutsu striking speed, they're relative to each other. In the battle against Ao, a former elite shinobi of the Mist Village, strong enough to take down the number 3 in Danzo's root organization, despite said number 3 Fu Yamanaka having prep time before he fought against Ao, and said shinobi being stronger than Sai, who we know during the Tenchi Bridge arc scaled relative to base Naruto, and that version of Ao is now weaker than the current version of Ao, who, while he doesn't use ninjutsu in his battle anymore except for when he gets killed by Kashin Koji, this same Ao has had his body modified by Kara's ninja tech, giving him a speed and power increase. This Ao was able to fight off Mitsuki to a road to stalemate despite Mitsuki in the manga using Kakashi's purple lightning, and when Sarada jumps into the battle, she's actually able to briefly place him on the defensive. It's also worth noting that Sarada at this point in time is fighting off in a mechanically enhanced elite Jonin, and doing so without having to use her Sharingan at any point in the battle. However, upon seeing Boruto's rapid development with the Karma Seal, particularly in the anime when Boruto fights against Naruto and she sees Karma Chroma Seal Boruto's lightning release, doing such wide-scale damage and forcing Naruto to use a shadow clone to block it. Sarada, upon realizing that she's being left behind by Boruto, seeks out training from her father Sasuke to master the Chidori. In the manga version of Boruto, we see 3 Tomo Sharingan Sarada performing Chidori without using hand seals and moving with the speed blitz required to use Chidori that moves fast enough that Boro sees the attack coming in the manga and literally states she's too fast because she's moving fast enough that he can't even weave the hand signs for his jutsu, and Sarada attacks him with the Chidori. She doesn't stop and then jump and thrust forward like she does in the anime. She just speed blitzes the guy in the manga. In the anime, this scene is a lot different because in the anime, Sarada is less skilled, she's weaker and slower than manga Sarada. Anime Sarada has to still weave hand signs for the Chidori, whereas manga Sarada doesn't. Which for skill reference, that's something we don't see Kakashi and Sasuke doing until part 2 of Naruto's manga. Anime Sarada, while she is fast, she's slower than manga Sarada. Anime Sarada still needed Boruto to make a smoke bomb and use the Vanisher Rasengan to blow up Boro's arm. Also, Sarada had time to land the attack on Boro. Another key distinction between Sarada in the anime and manga is that we see her 3rd Tomo Sharingan functions on the same level as Sasuke's was at age 16, being able to see microscopic levels of chakra, with Sasuke at 16 seeing data as chakra bombs on a cellular level inside of his bloodstream, and Sarada was not only able to see the ripples in Boro's muscles to track the movement of his ninja tech core according to chapter 42 of Boruto, but in chapter 41 it's actually stated that Sarada is the one that figures out that the black mist is actually a microscopic virus because her Sharingan Eye Insight via the 3rd Tomo allows her to see it, which in the anime it's just Mitsuki who figures everything out. One thing that is kept consistent with Sarada in the anime and the manga is that she performs roughly the same against Boro in terms of taijutsu, with her fire release being strong enough to cancel out base Boro's lava release jutsu and being creative enough in battle to land a point blank range fire release jutsu on Boro to blind him so Boruto and Kawaki could attack, but she's still weaker than the full transformed Boro who absolutely one-shot her. After this, we don't see much else from Sarada outside of the sparring match with Team 7 that they had in Boruto chapter 58 and Boruto episode 288. However, what we do see in both of those cases is the renewed focus by Sarada to gain more power following the news that Naruto lost Kurama and Sasuke lost the Rinnegan, with Sarada going right back to what her mother and father told her in the anime. If she was ever to advance her ocular powers, she needs to work on her chakra control, and we see Sarada leading Team 7 through chakra training drills in chapter 58. However, as Boruto part 1 ends, we have Sarada who has already shown that she's more than well into that Jonin tier power, potentially even higher if you take in the manga version of Sarada into consideration. Sarada getting a Mangekyou Sharingan is another boost in power because the Mangekyou gives a significant increase. While we don't have a exact multiplier, we do have a rough estimation for how much stronger a Mangekyou makes someone when we look at Sasuke from Naruto's manga, and this is just the base Mangekyou Sharingan, not the Mangekyou Sharingan that is amped up by the Uchiha feeling more hatred. Sasuke, when we look at his battle with Itachi, he had Orochimaru absorb for another boost in power, and he had the curse mark, which is a 10 times multiplier according to the Naruto manga. That Sasuke with his 3 Tomo, his curse mark 10 times multiplier, and the power of Orochimaru absorb is confirmed by Sasuke in his own words in the Naruto Jinraiden story as still being weaker than sick Itachi, but being significantly stronger than he was when he used the power of the curse mark. So at a bare minimum, going off of that, you can start the chakra boost for someone with the Mangekyou at that point higher than the 10 times boost of the curse mark second state. While we don't know what her powers are, I do have a video breaking down what they could be by using Japanese folklore and mythology that surrounds Sasuke and Sarada to pinpoint what it might be, which you can check out here on the screen.